Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Sedlacek,
Hello, I'm Isabel Cardenas.
and together we are working on the Special Ops project, and the species we have chosen is the Veiled Chameleon. And this species is very particularly interesting and special to us, and we can't wait to share our information with you. Alrighty, so let's go and get started. So first we're going to talk about the scientific background. Chameleons are scientifically classified as the Cameliocalyptratus. And something to note is actually the Greek word for chameleon means earth lion. And I thought that was an interesting fact. And we can classify the veiled chameleon specifically as a specialist. And we can classify them as a specialist because of a highly specialized body for an arboreal environment. They possess a cranioskeletal buildup, and they have special adaptations, including lingual anatomy, autopodial clefting on their claws, on their feet, to grasp to objects. And we also have adaptations for color changing, and they have special eyes on the side of their heads that allow them to see in 360 direction. Because of all these adaptations, they're highly specialized to live in a certain environment, and that is why the Cameliocalyptratus is a great model for an ecological niche specialization.
And now we're going to move on to the habitat of the veiled chameleon and specifically the conditions they thrive in. They like to live in both humid and arboreal environments. This means that a lot of moisture in the air is needed and a significant amount of trees is also needed. The optimal temperature range for a veiled chameleon is between 70 to 95 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's a pretty warm environment. Also, their optimal elevation is anywhere under 3,000 feet above sea level. Something to note is that veiled chameleons are kept as pets. Because of this and their specialized living conditions, many pet owners have to install a humidifier to add moisture to the air, a UVB light to allow calcium absorption, a basking light to increase temperature since they are cold-blooded, and lastly, a water dripper to add hydration into the cage. All of these installations allow chameleons to survive in the captivity.
And staying on the habitat trend, but now we're going to focus on where they actually live and the biomes they live in. So the veiled chameleon's native habitat is on the Arabian Peninsula, specifically between the border of Yemen and South Saudi Arabia. In this region, it's a very desert region, but chameleons are also known to live in Madagascar and places with rainforests and different types of forests. And those are those arboreal environments. But in those desert areas, they can live in mountainous areas, valleys areas, and just on the desert floor, the ground level near plants. And those are the main biomes these chameleons live in naturally, obviously, because captivity is a main source of these chameleons. But regions like those forests, deserts, valleys, and mountains allow these veiled chameleons to thrive and live in such a natural setting, and that's why they're really special. And now moving on to eating habitats and food choices, Isabel is going to go ahead and describe this.
Veiled chameleons are insectivores, meaning that they mainly consume insects. They can eat a wide variety of insects in the wild depending on location, such as crickets, grasshoppers, snails, flies, worms, locusts, and slugs. Not being limited to one insect species and having a broad variety of food helps a chameleon keep a consistent diet while receiving the acceptable nutrition. But the veiled chameleon can also include some plants, flowers, and berries in their diets, depending on if the water source in their habitat is scarce or not. They can consume flowers or plants to absorb water. We will touch on this in our next slide.
Alrighty, and like Issa said before, we talked about eating leaves to absorb water. And this is one of the reasons why they can tolerate some natural disruptions. So, like I mentioned previously, chameleons can live in the desert. And because of this, water is scarce there. And because they have hot summers and with little to no rainfall throughout the entire year, really. So they have to find a new way to get that moisture and get that water, which is a basic necessity of survival for any creature on the earth. And to tolerate this, the veiled chameleons will eat plants and flowers and their leaves to absorb the water. And plants store this water in their leaves and stems, allowing the transfer of hydration from the plant to the chameleon. And this enables them to stay hydrated and stay moisturized throughout their life. Also, when there's a sudden decrease in the population of insects, they tend to eat those plants and flowers and berries to fulfill the nutrition that they need to survive. And this is one of their main reasons why they can tolerate some natural disruptions, to droughts or to low food sources.
Now moving on to species that opposes the veiled chameleon. In the desert and rainforest biomes that the veiled chameleon is commonly found in, they are surrounded by many other species. These species can be either competition or harmless to them. A specific opposing species to the veiled chameleon is a frog.
We can classify a frog as an opposing species to this veiled chameleon because they share the same food sources, resulting in competition. For example, in one of these pictures, you can see that a chameleon is eating a cricket or a worm, and the frog also uses that food source to consume themselves. So we have two species fighting for that same food source. So they're opposing to try to get that same food source. And like I said, a popular insect is both flies and crickets. And a similarity actually between these two different species is their tongues. So a chameleon is known to have a very long tongue, which we'll watch a video on in our next slide. And frogs also have long tongues. And these long tongues enable them to reach out from a distance and capture flies and different insects to consume them without them flying away and running away. And this similarity and difference allows them to be this opposing species. And in that picture, you can see that they're both right there on that same branch, and that cricket or fly could be anyone's game. Okay, so now we're gonna watch a few videos about the chameleon. So this first video was actually taken by me and Isa. So one of our good friends actually has a veiled chameleon as a pet. Her name is Pluto, and we took a video of her in her little cage and her climbing around on a branch. So we're gonna go and watch this. So as you can see, she's kind of has stripes in a spotted environment, and when her body's like that, we can tell that she's kind of stressed or has anxiety or is kind of scared. And that's because we were just putting her back in, so she was kind of getting adapted in. So that short video just kind of shows you that veiled chameleons are pets, and that's kind of what their cages look like to represent a natural setting. In this next video, we're going to look at that chameleon tongue like I mentioned before and how it's long. And this video is specifically in slow motion, which is really going to show you how long that is and how sticky it is and how it enables chameleons to get their food source from a really far distance.
Now we're going to watch a segment over the first 3 months of a veiled chameleon's life. We'll be watching them grow both in size and see the difference in color, which we will be pointing out.
So this chameleon is the 2 days after hatching. You can see they're very small, but they are moving and crawling around. They're using their legs and feet. This is a week after hatch. As you can see, they're arboreal right from the start. They love to be in the trees. And many chameleons, if you are a pet owner and you grow and the chameleon grows to love you, they'll climb around you, they'll climb around your hair, your shoulder. It's a lot of fun. Something to note is that right now you can see all these chameleons are a solid green color, and in the next couple of weeks they'll be developing those stripes and spots that really make them unique and be able to camouflage into branches and settings like that. You can see their long tails forming, allow them to hang from branches, use them as support. So this is about 2.5 months after hatching. You can see they've pretty much grown to almost full size. In the back one, you can see the stripes and spots, and that little horn on that head, which makes the veiled chameleon really unique. And when they change colors, the veiled chameleon specifically really only change from green to brown, and just really mainly green. They don't really change any to vibrant colors. But yeah, it's a pretty amazing creature. Alrighty. So that is the end of our presentation. As you can see in this little picture of me and Issa, that is Pluto on my hand. She's chilling out there, and she actually really grew to love me. She's one of my best friends now. I'm one of her best friends, and a big shout out to our friend Sophia for letting us use Pluto. And thanks for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in chat, and have a great day.
Thank you for watching.